Hello, welcome Solex Nation. Did you know in the month of October, all new QLAs get free enrollment?
Yes, $0.
$0.
Doesn't cost anything to enroll as a brand new QLA. I would hope that you're sharing that with those who might be interested, who've been kind of maybe beating around the bush, looking at Solex, saying, okay, what do we got here? A great month to join.
It absolutely is. Yes. Now, in a few weeks, we are heading down to Australia for the Day of Discovery. And there are a couple of things with that Day of Discovery that we need to talk about.
Yes. We have a legacy dinner that's taking place.
Yes.
And we do have those that need to respond. If you're going to the legacy dinner, there's only, actually, as of Wednesday night, we only have 2 days left.
That's right. There are 2 days left to respond to the RSVP for that legacy dinner. And then after that date, after Friday, we are having it closed off.
Yeah, we're going to close it down.
Speaking of closing things off, we also have tickets available through October 31st, and then we will no longer be selling tickets. We only have a couple left.
Yeah, there's a two thing on that. Like, either the 31st comes and we just stop,
yes,
or we run out of tickets. So there's just kind of a hard stop on the tickets because the venue has a hard stop on seats.
That's right. That's right. Now, for all of our Punta Cana winners, we have sent out a survey to you in your email that we need to have a response to by October 31st. We are, our agent is getting those tickets purchased for your airfare, and we're getting everything booked. So we just need to get that information back from you by the 31st. If you haven't received that email, can't find it, please give our customer support a call.
Wonderful. Yeah, we need that, and we're so excited to get everything aligned and everybody taken care of. You've earned it. Well done. Great hard work during this past year.
Yeah, we can't wait to see you there.
We have some license plates.
I love this part of it. I love this part of the month. I love it when people have license plates.
Well,
we have two.
And I said some.
Yeah, we have
more
two.
than one.
All right, let's take a look at this. The first one is Tiffany Rutledge.
And she's Solex 2 in Missouri.
Solex 2. And the next one is Sue Trefethren.
And I love this one. AO Scans with a Z.
AO Scans.
Out of Wisconsin.
Yeah,
right?
Out of Wisconsin. So we will send both of you a Solex silver coin. We love that you have the license plates. You're part of the club. And for those of you that are new, if you would are wondering what's going on, if you do a Solex license plate or an AO Scan license plate, or we have a new one, Cephi license plate, then or you order that through your DMV, and then send a picture once it comes in, and we'll feature you on the call and send you a Solex silver coin, and you're part of the legacy group.
Yeah, and that, just so we always say this, I know that it's kind of ad nauseum sometimes, but there's a limited supply of silver coins.
Yeah, we're reaching the end of our supply.
Once we're done, we're done.
And the legacy group is closed.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, so you want to be a part of this club.
So last week, we asked people to talk about the benefits of niacin.
Yes, we did.
And then we were going to give away what?
Pulse, our brand new product, Pulse.
Which comes with about 75 milligrams of niacin as a big kicker in Pulse with massive antioxidant benefits compared to everything else that's in it for every about 1 ml that you take of Pulse, which is about 10 pumps.
Yes.
But let's talk about the pumps for a minute.
Okay.
Okay, so pumps, we've seen some people, a few people are having a tough time. Let me talk about the Pulse pump.
They don't love the pumps.
Let's talk about the Pulse pump first. Right now, if you're having a tough time, if it's either it sticks or viscosity, somebody nailed it. Somebody shared with me a response and explaining what's happening with the pumps with Pulse is the viscosity of Pulse is thicker, and so sometimes the pump will get caught.
Yes.
What you do is if you
go a little
pump,
slower.
Yeah, go a little slower, and it'll pump through it. And I've been testing this now 4 months.
Yeah.
Tons of different conditions, cooling it down, heating it up. As far as leaving it out room temperature, leaving it in my refrigerator. We've been testing all kinds of things out to try and say, okay, where's the right amount? What seems to be consistent is that if you slowly pump through that, it picks up and the pump functions.
Yeah, push it down and let it come back up before you do the next one.
Now, and this will go for blue as well, if you have a dropper that you'd prefer, then obviously use what works best. Now, we've had some people say, hey, why don't we use a dropper with blue instead of the pump with blue? To tell you the truth, we started with a dropper. And as you know, if you've been using blue will stain.
Yes.
And people were having a fantastic time trying to I don't know what the aiming capacity is of the dropper. It just seems to be a little bit more
We
challenging.
had a few accidents.
Yeah, we had people with blue kind of in a lot of places, and so we thought in working with the pump, those people that were having a challenging time, and the about 40 people that were testing it out for us, seemed to have a more targeted approach with aiming blue into their mouth with the pump, and so that's why we went and stayed with the pump. But we understand if you want to try something else, obviously. To use to your benefit. But that's why the pumps are there.
Well, something else about the blue pump. Someone told me my pump leaks. Well, I thought the same thing about my pump. I thought it was leaking. And then I realized that it's not leaking. What's happening is I'm pumping the blue, and then there's a little bit left in the little lip around the cap.
Yep.
And I was rinsing it under the faucet to get, and then putting the cap back on. Well, the water was spreading the blue. And then when I would do it next time, it felt like it was leaking. And so I stopped running underwater, and I just cleaned it off with a piece of tissue. And I haven't had a single problem. So don't run your blue underwater. Instead, wipe it off with a dry cloth.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, make sure the cap is nice and snug and tight, as usual.
Yeah.
These pumps were made for this sort of distribution of liquid, and so that's what they're intended for. But to your point, great idea. Take a tissue paper, take some toilet paper, take whatever, and wipe it off. It's a great way to clean off any leftover residue from pumping.
Yes. Hey, guess what we had last week?
A contest?
Yeah, we always have contests. And we talked about pulse last week. And so we asked you, what can you teach us about some of the ingredients in pulse, mainly niacin?
Yeah, like I was saying before, like niacin is a powerful ingredient in pulse.
Yes.
And so we wanted you to teach us something about that. And then we're going to give away pulse.
Pulse,
right?
yes. And I know so many people want to win pulse.
Not just to one person, but as usual. And let me mix. I'm just trying to mix these up like crazy.
There's a lot in here.
There's a lot. Okay, here we go. Frequency Soul Collective 7636. Did you know these are some of the symptoms that you are niacin deficient? Skin rash or discoloration, bright red tongue, vomiting, constipation or diarrhea, depression, fatigue, headache, memory loss, loss of appetite. I did not know all of those.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is. And you know what? I know that the recommended daily value is like 17 milligrams a day. It's around that. It depends on man, woman, age, and so forth. Not even close to what those that actually have spent their career studying niacin say you need.
Really?
Yeah, not even close. Yeah, it's like a bare minimum threshold, but most people become deficient because of that.
Wow. Okay, let's mix them up really well and grab one. This is Eva Williams. Niacin helps ease arthritis and helps to reduce bad cholesterol.
That's true. That is true. That is true. I love that. All right, here we go. Last one, easy promo videos. Again, let us know who you are. So I've had a debate with myself on flush versus no flush. In observation of my own reaction, I feel that niacin with a flush affects my skin and inflammation to the positive. There are so many benefits for the use of niacin. Skin challenges like eczema and acne. If you have an issue with blood fat levels, then it will increase your HDL, good cholesterol, and lower your LDL, bad cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, giving you an overall improvement in your triglyceride levels. In addition, the boost in your brain health is a big plus. Thank you for introducing Pulse. I agree with all of that. Those are all benefits from niacin. And I prefer, not everything you take is going to be as obvious when you get a flush with niacin. And thus, I love the niacin flush. And in fact, the more you experience a niacin flush, the more you kind of look forward to it to a degree, because it's like, I know that, hey, my vascular system is benefiting right now.
Absolutely.
It's obvious on its face, right?
Yes.
Where everything else might be a latent effect, this is a patent. It's right on its face. You can see it.
It's true. You know what? I do not like the taste of Pulse. I think it tastes terrible, and I don't.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And
We
I
added
don't
no
want to take
flavor
it.
to this.
Probably because I can taste the beet, and that's one of the things I hate most in this life, unfortunately. And so I think it tastes terrible. I don't like the niacin flesh. It's very uncomfortable to me, and I always have to show him every time, like, oh my gosh, look, it's all over. Right? I don't like it. But you know what's interesting is I'm taking it every day religiously. For the last week, I've been doing it religiously every single day, and I'm starting to look forward to it. Now, today, I've been taking about 15 pumps of it in the morning, and today I only took 10 because I wanted to see if I would still experience a flush. Yeah. And I didn't. I did not experience a flush with 10, and I was a little disappointed, which is funny because I don't want a flush, but I do. So I like the benefit.
Well, and we've been asked, like, how much should you take? And as the bottle directs, it's an as-needed one.
Yes.
And then 10 gets you the 1 ml.
Yes.
Right? Which is essentially the supplement fact. But like I said when I introduced this on stage, like when I'm going for a run or going to go lift some weights or something like that, I'll usually take 15, maybe even 20. Now, the one thing is you don't need to go and take 50 pumps in a day, 40 pumps in a day. You don't want to necessarily do that because you also have a nitric oxide reaction. Nitric oxide is a normal reaction. It's a good reaction.
It's kind of the energy boost, right?
It's going to take place in the body, and you could actually use that in the afternoon in a careful way. The only thing is with nitric oxide is you don't want to overdo nitric oxide in its reaction. So that's where we've crafted Pulse in such a way where if you're sitting there between 10 and 20 pumps, you're going to be well within a barrier of nitric oxide reaction that is safe and healthy for the body.
And helpful.
And helpful for the body.
But you know your body.
Yeah.
So test it with what works best for you.
I mean, some people might be asking, well, what's the damage of too much nitric oxide? You get reactive oxygen species after because as a result of too much nitric oxide in the body. But that's where blue comes in, actually. Blue comes in and can neutralize an overdoing of nitric oxide in the body. So.
All right, let's talk about our top enrollers.
Okay, top enrollers. This is for the week of October 9th to the 15th.
Yes, and no ties this week.
No ties this week. In second place, we have Jody Bash. Congratulations. Great
Good job,
work.
Jody. And in first place, we have Paige Wheeler.
Great job, Paige.
Good job. We will send you another Solex silver coin. Well done, both of you. Before we move on to our call really quickly, just a reminder, we do have a podcast, our Solex podcast, and we actually haven't posted in a couple of weeks anything. We post our weekly update every week, but we haven't had any longer content in a couple of weeks because of our Day of Discovery preparation and all the things that went into that. But we just posted a new episode last Friday, and it is about hydration. It's the full episode. We gave you a kind of teaser a couple of months ago on the call, but we have our full episode on the podcast now, so go check that out. All right, we are going to hear now from Dr. Bennett, and he is an expert on methylene blue and red light therapy.
I came to an obscure chemical, and then it was called methylene blue. I remember from medical school days saying, oh, it's one question in the test, what is it good for? It's only good for this one condition called methemoglobinemia, which is a condition where your blood cells, you don't have enough oxygen, you kind of suffocate to death. You give this, and a miracle happens, and you're cured. And I said, wow, this is a pretty cool chemical. Let me take a look at it. So as I looked in it more in terms of the antiviral effect of it, antibacterial effect of it, I kept getting more and more studies. So it took me a few months, 6 months, 8 months of over 800 studies. I read all these studies. All these things are FDA approved by themselves. If you combine it, what happens? Would it work? I sent it off to a pharmaceutical manufacturing in New York. They made it. They sent it to me. So he tries it. I try it. What'd you think? I don't know. I didn't feel anything. I said the same thing. I didn't really feel anything. I feel good, but I can't say what that is. The following week, COVID hit. Office got shut down. Here we are. We have this medicine that we could have used or doing something, and it's just sitting there. Called up my friends. Hey, do you have any COVID patients? We sure do. Everyone's being rejected from the emergency rooms. There's no treatment. They're just letting them go. They say we can't do anything. So what do we do? Here you go. Try this. Here you go. Try this. 10, 20, 30, 100% efficacy, no side effect. They had to prove with a PCR test they were positive. 10 days after, you had to show PCR you were negative. Everybody, 100%, no side effects. Then we said, there's something there. 100, 200, 400 patients, 100% efficacy, no side effect. 10 days, all cured. So we went to Mexico City. They were dying by the thousands. So we got accepted to do a study in 2 government hospitals, FDA study in 2 government hospitals in Mexico City. So we go there, and we start the trial. They give us a room, medical room, and says, here's your room, you can start your trial. For the first week, not one person showed up. Not one person, even though they told everybody, hey, come try this new study, it's going to be good, it's going to be COVID, it'll be fantastic. Then, because their head doctor, the chief was the doctor, told them, hey, you got to go get the treatment. This is what it is. They came in, got a treatment. In 2 days, they went back to work. 2 days, okay? The third day, there was a line out the freaking door around the hospital, right, with everybody that was sick coming in. And by that time, I had to come up with a certain different types of formulations. One was an IV. So I came up with IV. Our study is actually sublingual. Okay, so you put it under your tongue, you wear a light for an hour, you were healed. Okay? So we proved it. All right? So one of the doctors got admitted to the emergency, from the ER, got admitted to the ICU. She was very, very sick. They said, okay, what can you do for her? I said, I can try the IV if you want. You know, they said, okay, go ahead, try it. But our study was for the oral, sublingual. Don't worry, she's a very important person, you gotta treat her. Go to the ICU, she's sick, she's lying in bed. We do the IV, say, okay, the IV protocol, you need 2 days of IV, then the rest of the 10 days you're gonna do sublingual. Okay, no problem. We go downstairs, the following day, she's the first person in line out of the ICU. I'm looking at her going, what the hell are you doing here? She's going, after you gave me that IV, I felt so good. I wanted to get out. I assigned myself AMA, I'm gonna come downstairs, I'm gonna get an IV. So she came in, she was getting the IV, and then she said, you know, does your medicine do anything else? I said, no, it's just an antiviral. Well, you know, I had this headache for my meningioma. I'm standing there going, you have a meningioma? She goes, yeah, I've had this headache for 8 years because of my meningioma. Yesterday, it disappeared. So our study showed all 3 DNA profiles of the virus depleted to 0 in 3 days. 100% efficacy, 0 side effects, okay? He gets sick. I start him on the IV protocol right away to make sure he's negative. 2 days later, he comes back, he says, Doc, there's something wrong. Oh my God, you're gonna be the first side effect. Thank God, because now I really think it's a real medicine, right? You have to have some kind of side effect. It has to be, right? He goes, well, you know, I'm throwing guys like they're paperweights. I've never done that before, okay? What's going on? Is it a steroid? I'm very afraid, because if it is, they're going to disqualify me, and I'm not going to be able to get my $1 million purse. I said, I swear to you, it's not a steroid. It has no properties. It goes in, does what it does, and comes out. Okay? He goes, no, I think there's something up. I said, no, I promise you, you're not going to be. They're not going to throw you out. He comes back the day later. He goes, I forgot to tell you. I said, oh God, now what? When I usually have to wait in between rounds, it's usually 1.5 minutes. And I usually take 1.5 minutes to be able to get myself back up and going around. Now it's only 20 or 30 seconds. You sure it's not a steroid? I said, I promise you it's not a steroid. It is not. You're not going to be disqualified. He comes back a day later with another complaint. I'm going, oh my God, now what? Well, he says, well, you know, when I go in a ring, I can hear my coaches tell me what to do, okay? But ever since you started me on this medicine, I can't hear them. My focus is strictly on the guy that I want to kill, and destroy, but nothing else. And my reflexes are a little faster. And I said, all right, there's something to this guy. He's not just stating something. There's something going on. So I got so excited that we were able to prove all these things. It's incredible. So that's how I got into methylene blue and just nose dive into everything about methylene blue. So the past 3 years, we have over 3,000 patients that have done all kinds of versions of methylene blue, and we have tons of data regarding the side effects, the good, the bad, the ugly about methylene blue, okay? So bear with me. I hope I don't bore some of you, but let's go over some of the stuff, right? What is methylene blue? It's a dye. It was invented by a chemist so it can dye things blue, right? Then a doctor was using the dye in his laboratory, Dr. Elric, okay? So the German scientist is called Henrik Karl, and the doctor was Dr. Paul Edermann and Paul Elric in 1891. This is a 140-year-old medication, 140 years old, all right? So they said, hey, we can actually, when he saw the destruction of the bacteria in the blood cells, because he was just staining them to see what's happening, he found out, hey, it's a pretty good antibiotic. And he found out that it's excellent against malaria, which was rampant back then, okay? And you could kill malaria in 3 days. 3 days. It took a few years, but Matilda Brooks found out that it's a great antidote against carbon monoxide poisoning and cyanide poisoning. Fantastic, all right? And, of course, it's a pre-medicated. Back in the 50s, we have one of the first very good, back then, antipsychotics was chlorpromazine. Back then, it was the only thing they had, and it worked really well against psychosis. Excellent. I'm going to stick to the things that's important to us, all right? How we're going to use it, but why? Some of you want to know why. Why does it work the way it does? It is a partial liposomal agent, which means it goes in the mitochondrial matrix. What does that mean? As you were told, we have a few thousand of these little mitochondria. Okay? They are the manufacturers of your gasoline, ATP. That's your gasoline. Without those, you die. So that's where the fuel is being made, where your entire body utilizes. Okay? And you see that's right there where the blue square is pointing to, rectangle? That is inside the mitochondria. It's called mitochondrial matrix and cisternae. That cisternae has these other manufacturing facilities. Complex 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That is how your ATP is being produced. Okay? That's where the fuel comes from. Whether you like it or not, everything turns into that. Just try to make the fuel from there. So see the dark brown stuff? It's called the matrices. That's where all the good stuff, that's where your glycolytic cycle is. That's where the sugar gets broken down and gets into a small compound. Electrons are, and it makes into ATP in the matrices, okay? There's a gap between the first and the second layer of cells. That's where the electrons are, hydrogen, okay? Now, this is a more detailed version of that cell wall, where it goes. You've heard of NAD. Almost everybody heard of NAD, right? A lot of people get NAD IVs. Okay? Why? So when you get a cold, what happens after the first day of cold? You get tired. You get tired very quickly for a few days, up to 7 days. Why? Because as soon as you get caught with a virus, the cell tries to protect itself. It protects itself by upregulating NAD to make ATP, so ATP can protect your cells and can have enough energy for DNA repair, okay? So it's very important for NAD to be upregulated. It means a hell of a lot more production of NAD to make ATP. Without NAD, there's no ATP, okay? At the very last stages there, all right? So NAD goes up. If NAD goes up and it's used, what happens to all the NAD? Gets broken down. If all the NAD is used up, what happens to your energy level? It goes down because it's upregulating to get your ATP, but as we age above 35, 40, the recycling process for NAD is broken down. That's why we get tired earlier as we age. The recycling process of NAD. If you don't have that working well, NAD continues to stay down, you get tired. If you get NAD infusion, you bounce right back up because the recycling process isn't done very well. How do you fix that? Sometimes you can fix it by intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting has been shown in studies to increase the recycling process, rebuilding of the recycling process, because that's very, very important, okay? So here comes methylene blue. It says, hey, NAD, give me that electron. I'm going to take it away from you. NAD and FAD are robbed from their electrons, okay? It's just a little pass from one chemical to another chemical, okay? Once I pass this to the other chemical, I get used up, okay? Then I go to another process where I have to recycle myself to get built up again, okay? And methylene blue comes in, says, hey, don't get used up. I'll take this little doohickey from you. I'll go to all the way to the end. I won't go from one cycle to the other, because in order to make ATP, you have to go from 1, 2, 3 to 4. If any one of those are broken, or don't work, or work intermittently, or less than what they should, you get something called mitochondrial disease, mitochondrial dysfunction. So here comes methylene blue. Comes and robs NAD and FAD of electrons. Says, hey man, don't worry about it. I'm going to take your electron, bypass the entire manufacturing process, and go straight to cytochrome C and make ATP. Don't worry, chill, relax. I'll do all the work. Then, methylene blue can't get broken down by your body. Your liver cannot break it down. It stays either leucomethylene blue or methylene blue, and that's it. And it is such an awesome chemical. You've just heard a word called redox. It's very important, okay? This is the auto-recycler. Because of the pH, it is such an amazing chemical. It auto-recycles, which means at certain processes, it donates, and in another section, it accepts. So it sits there. Thank you very much. Here you go. Thank you very much. Here you go. Without the requirement of ATP or any other enzyme to be able to do what it's doing. It's an amazing process. It's an amazing chemical. It requires nothing. But you have to be able to get it from your mouth to the blood, to the cell, to the mitochondria. That's where the expertise comes in and the way this chemical was built by us. Okay? That's the reason why we're using the gold, silver, and the copper. And you can't just use any gold, silver, and copper, because if you do, if it's too small, the silver clump in the cell and kill the cell. Your liver starts breaking down. Okay? Same thing with gold. Specific size, specific amount. They all do different things. And that's why it does what it does. Okay? So methylene blue is an amazing product. That's how it creates ATP. That's how your cells get energy. So imagine, you're an athlete, and this is legal, by the way. USADA, which is the governing body for athletes, have approved it. You're taking this product. You can run farther, without use of oxygen. Okay? It produces ATP without oxygen. Okay? That's what's amazing about this. Okay? So imagine holding your breath longer underwater, being able to get a pick-me-up in the morning. It goes in, not a steroid, comes right out. Absolutely, it doesn't touch any of your cells, except it does what it does. Then your body is smart. Your body methylates it. The way your body gets rid of it is methylating it, turns into leucomethylene blue, and then all of a sudden it leaves your body. Regular methylene blue, 3 to 5 hours half-life. Means it only lasts 3 to 5 hours, 50% pop concentration. Ours, 22 to 24 hours. Okay? Imagine that.
You know, Dr. Bennett has a tremendous amount of knowledge around methylene blue, and obviously a little bit was on display right there as we listened to him, his different experiences. One of the things that he talks about is how methylene blue addresses our body's needs at the mitochondria, not just at the cellular level, at the mitochondrial level, where we're helping pass that electron off so the proton gets pulled through and the ATP process is complete so the energy resource is available for the cell. But that's not enough, right? I mean, it's one thing, it's a good, if you're looking for causal challenges, you're talking about mitochondrial function. But then the cell has the energy and it starts to do what the cell does. And every cell is different in the body, but the cell then needs resources, right? Resources available for it to function. It has the energy resource now, but now it needs the nutrient, the antioxidant, whatever resource available to it in order for it to do its job. And I think that's pretty key.
I think we can help with that.
Yeah, when we talk about blue, what do you couple with blue, right?
Right. Well, so we want you to go on to our YouTube channel. Now, just as a reminder, if you're watching this during the premiere, don't put your comment in the live chat. Go out and put this on the main chat underneath this, under the main comments.
Yeah,
okay?
after the live closes, then you can go back in.
Yep, go back
refresh it.
And then you can make a comment in the main comments. And so we want to know, what do you use with blue to maximize the effects of blue and why? Yeah.
Like for me, one of the things that's critical is if I'm getting the energy resource for the cell, I'm looking at Think and Pro or Prime or Altogether in order to give it the nutrient resource, even in the NRF2 reactions and so forth, so that the cell is now functioning well, has the energy, but now has the resources available to go and do, right?
Yeah, so we want to we're going to give 3 people next week, we're going to do a drawing and read your comment, and we're going to give 3 people the top pack.
So what do you couple with blue and why?
That's
and
right.
Why do you do it?
Okay, have a great week, everyone.
Okay,
see ya.
And that goes for pulse and blue.
Shoot, sorry.
Okay.
I was looking down.